Today we're gonna take a look at how to paint this house exterior and how to get from this to this. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pressure wash entire exterior. So vinyl siding, window trims, windows, and gutters, and basically anything that I'm planning to paint except soffit. I don't want to pressure wash soffit because I'm gonna force out so much dirt trapped in the soffit over the years, and I'm gonna make it even dirtier and impossible to clean. I mean, look at this part of soffit here that I intentionally hit with a pressure washer just to show you how dirty it gets once the water gets in, how dirt comes out throughout those little vent holes. And once it gets dry, it's so hard to clean.
So when it comes down to sprayer and what kind of paint I'm going to use, I'm going to spray this vinyl with my Graco 490 professional sprayer. If you don't have your sprayer, you can definitely rent one from Home Depot. They don't have a Graco, they go with a Titan. That's a very good brand for sprayers as well. The only thing about Home Depot sprayer, they only have one option for sprayer tip. I have 410 here, while in Home Depot what you get with a sprayer is 517. That means 10-inch sprayer fan, so 10-inch wide sprayer fan, and 17, the second number, it means how much paint is gonna load on the surface. So I have 10, you'll be renting tip with 5, 17, so much more paint on the surface. Plus they do not have FFLP tip, what means fine finish low pressure tip, what gives you better control of the pressure and kind of more fine finish, but doesn't really matter, you're gonna get the job done successfully with the 517 as well. You can just turn down the knob on your sprayer and lower your pressure. Don't go with the highest pressure, don't turn your knob all the way up, keep it at 2/3 maybe. What I like to use is like 2000, 2100, 200, 300 psi. So I don't want to go to 3000 psi, no need, because I usually don't need to load that much of paint on my project. But other than that, that's a good sprayer. I recommend you using it. Should you go and paint your siding with a roller? I do not recommend that. Theoretically you could, but practically not really, because it would take you days and days to get it done and you would never get a perfect coverage. And when it comes down to a paint and what kind of product I'm going to use to paint this vinyl today, well, that's where it gets tricky, because for the soffit is metal, so I can use any exterior paint. Doesn't really matter if it's gonna attract the heat or not, because metal will not warp. While with the vinyl, you definitely want to make sure you use vinyl safe paint, and vinyl safe paint is made by some of the paint brands. That basically means that paint that they guarantee you can use on vinyl, it's not gonna warp your vinyl, because vinyl is basically a plastic, and if you're using too darker color on your vinyl, let's say your vinyl is originally white and you want to turn it to dark blue or a black, well, it's gonna attract lots of heat to your vinyl, to plastic, and it's gonna warp your vinyl in the middle of the summer, and it's gonna be damaged beyond repair. So you don't want that. So basically I went to Home Depot and I asked them, do you have vinyl safe paint? And they said no, they have exterior paint and you can use it for vinyl, but no guarantees. If it warps your vinyl, it's gonna be you responsible if your vinyl warps. While in Sherwin-Williams, they're the only brand for now that I found to have vinyl safe paint. They gave me this brochure that I'm using for any of my clients. So basically they develop the palette of colors and they guarantee if you use those, they're not gonna attract heat and they're not gonna warp your vinyl. I guess the trick is that they don't have too much of a darker tint in any of these to attract the heat. So they told me if it warps your vinyl, we're gonna back you up. And that's important for me when I'm working on my project, on my client's project, so I know and I can tell them the same thing, right? So this is what we're gonna use today. We're gonna go with this darker green, and we're gonna go with the Sherwin-Williams Super Paint. And let's get onto this project and get this house painted.
I'm using my masking film dispenser with 3M pre-folded masking film and the tape to protect my doors, windows, and anything that I really don't want to paint. Before I jump on siding for this client, I'm gonna paint the gutters and the soffit. I wiped them off with the rag a little bit to get some debris and dust off, and I'm using regular exterior paint, which has really good bonding and holds really well. Exterior paint is chemically very strong and you can use it for any of your painting projects as long as you get some dust and debris off. And of course, don't use exterior paint inside of your house because it can release some gases over time and you don't want to breathe that. You might be wondering why I'm using a cardboard if no one sees the overspray on the shingles on the roof. Well, this is not a very high bungalow, and this house, the way it's positioned, very deep into the property, and you can really see shingles from the main street. That's why I want to protect the shingles from overspray, because it would be really visible and it wouldn't look good when I'm approaching the house.
Bottom trim.
I'm easily having an overspray on vinyl siding because anyway I'm gonna let it dry for one day, come back tomorrow, protect the soffit, and respray vinyl siding all over it again anyway.
So day one is done. Now we're gonna come for a day two. We're gonna let everything dry for a second day. So I basically sprayed the soffit, like I said, corner vinyl trims in white. That's what the owner wanted me to do. Tomorrow we're gonna protect them with a tape and spray entire vinyl siding except that. So we're gonna have green siding and white trims. And that's about it. Let's let it dry and come back tomorrow to start prepping all of this and get the painting done. Whatever you don't want to get painted, you have to protect it. This is gonna get painted, the trim is gonna get painted, door won't get painted, so this trim will get painted. That's why I protected this. This is gonna get protected, and the soffit is gonna get protected, and as well the floor will get protected. Let's take a look.
And once again, I'm using 3M masking dispenser loaded with some masking paper. I'm ripping this paper into smaller pieces, whatever I can reach, and overlapping each paper. This paper is 1 foot in width, what's more than enough for me not to get overspray on the soffit. I'm gonna use 410 sprayer tip, what means that's 8-inch fan on my tip, and that's more than enough to protect my soffit when I'm spraying. I'm gonna keep doing this all around the house to protect my entire soffit, and this process is fairly easy and simple. The only headache is if you're working at heights, you're gonna have to come up and down to move your ladder so you can reach another area with your paper to properly protect the entire soffit. And once again, I want to protect everything close to this siding that I don't want to get painted, in this case deck boards and railings. And this is how it looks, and now when I'm spraying I can be confident that I'm not going to get an overspray on the floor. As you can see, prep is really a big part of this project. I'm almost done with the masking off the floor. I'm done with railing and soffit. I'm gonna start spraying soon, and I got the windows done, all the fixtures just to cover this door and electrical plug, and I'm almost done. To protect this parging underneath the vinyl siding, I could simply mask it off with a paper and a tape, but I just don't want to waste tape and the additional paper if I can use this spray guard, as it becomes really convenient for this kind of spray exterior applications. And if you don't have a spray guard, you can simply take a piece of cardboard instead of that. Most vinyl sidings that I have seen are not entirely smooth but a little bit textured, and this one as well would makes it much easier for spraying and hides all imperfections. Don't go too fast as you want to make sure you have a good coverage, and don't go too slow because you don't want to have paint build up and drips, and make sure you maintain 50% overlap on every run. As well, when you're spraying vinyl, you want to tilt your hand a little bit like that, so you make sure you spray underneath the vinyl, that curve where vinyl locks to each other, so when you go down on the ground, everything is covered and nothing is missed. So this side of the house is done. Now I'm gonna let it dry while moving on to the other side of the house. I'm lucky because I have a warm weather and it's a little bit windy, what's gonna make this siding dry within 30 minutes. But still it's gonna take a couple of days for paint to fully cure. So I'm gonna tell the owners to be careful with it next couple of days and keep the dogs away. And that's about it. I removed masking paper and what a change. I really like the way it turned out.